Work permit is very important part of our safety management system, but at the same time it's very controversial and sometimes very difficult to align with all the stakeholders. But now it is going to be much easier with the launch of new IS standard 17893 that was launched and published very recently. And the main features of this new standard, it includes even the minor information like different types of work permits, validity, where work permit is required, where it is not required, who has to sign the work permit, which are the different stakeholders required, do's and don'ts. All this information is already mentioned. So this is going to be very easy and you can find all the highlights about this new launched IS code in this video. IS 17893 Work Permit System Code of Practice. All the information being shared is taken from IS 17893. Following are the contents in this code. Scope, general procedure for work permit, details of work permits for different works, details and procedure for work permit formats, personal protection equipment, gas test, approvals, interplant clearances, revalidation and renewals, closure and cancellation, audits, responsibility, annexure such as permit templates and instructions. This standard prescribes work permit for following work areas. It means the different of work type and work permits: cold work permit, hot work permit, confined space vessel entry permit, excavation permit, electrical work permit, work at height permit, and radiography. Work permit may not be applicable for the following areas: activities: routine welding, cutting, and similar maintenance jobs carried out inside designated central workshops or demarcated areas; routine samplings for the purpose of laboratory analysis; canteen for cooking, preparing tea, food, etc.; torches, furnaces, parking equipment, etc. in designated locations of laboratory; collection of waste, garbage from specified locations; all cold jobs in office buildings, including control room buildings. However, jobs requiring electrical isolation, work at height, and excavation, etc. will require work permit. Visual inspection by maintenance or inspection personnel of rotary or static equipment. Replacement of tube light rod inside building. Verbal permission from shift in charge, area in charge is to be obtained. Replacement of bulb or poles inside plant areas and on road requires work permit. Gardening related jobs like grass cutting, hand cutter, branch trimming, cutting, etc. around office, room buildings, plant areas, non-plant areas. However, for jobs requiring electrical connections like lawn mowers, mechanical hexa machines, and work at height like climbing on a tree, and excavation more than 30 centimeter deep will require respective work permit. General procedure for work permit. Work permit is to be made in triplicate. It means 3 copies. The first copy is for the executor who is going to do the job, and the acceptor shall display his copy at the job location to make the area personnel aware of the job. Second copy is for the issuers. He retains this copy for control of work activity. The third copy is for safety department. Before filling up necessary details in the work permit, the issuer and acceptors jointly make a risk assessment of the job and agree on the following: specific procedures to be adopted during execution, preparations required before the actual job is carried out, special needs like personal protective equipment, etc. Cold work permit is an activity which is not likely to produce sufficient heat capable of igniting flammable gases. And following are the examples: erection, removal of scaffolding, insulation of equipment pipelines, all painting of equipments or pipelines or buildings at temperatures below 50 degrees Celsius. Routine instrument repairs, troubleshooting that do not involve process isolation or work on process strips. Equipment greasing and lubrication, condition monitoring of rotary equipment, tests to be carried out by maintenance personnel or any other agency, hot work on equipment like DCS panels, UPS inverters, excavation, digging, road cutting, removal, soil chipping, and grading to a depth that is less than 30 centimeter deep, either using mechanical equipment or manually. Work at height at or above 1.8 meter above ground level, where permanent platform and guard railing is not available. Hydrojetting, online sealing, sandblasting, use of portable electrical tools and appliances in other areas other than plant operating areas. Use of vacuum cleaners, other gadgets requiring power supply. All inspection and test work performed by employees other than those assigned to operate the equipment. Hot work is any type of work which produces heat spark capable of igniting any flammable or combustible gases. Examples of hot work are as follows: welding, grinding, burning, soldering, brazing, blasting, gas cutting, chipping by spark producing tools, open flames. Hexa cutting on equipment, line or vessel of hydrocarbon services. Any equipment, line or vessel which contained any explosive, corrosive or toxic material. Use of non-flame proof electrical equipment like cameras, mobile phones, non-intrinsically safe radio pages, etc. Online leak sealing in pipelines and equipment, hot tapping involving welding and drilling in pipelines, and pressure spray painting. A confined space is defined as an area which is not designated for continuous human occupancy. It is large enough for a person to boldly enter in the area and perform the assigned work. It has got limited or restricted means for entry and exit and may or may not be enclosed. Some of the examples are as follows: tanks, columns, reactor, oil, water, separators, coolers, condenser, reservoirs, pipelines, tanker, skirts of column and vessels, floating roof decks, pits, tunnels, etc. This also includes column skirts, large diameter pipelines, storage tanks, sphere, bullets, bins, silos, sumps, trenches, pits, sewers, furnaces, flare stack, gas turbines, underground service lines, working open type vessel deeper than head level, boiler drums, surface condensers, flue ducts, heating, ventilation and air conditioning ducts, false ceilings and floors, deck of floating roof, etc. The work permit must bear the person employee name and designation with his department discipline. No permit should be issued directly to the contractors. These are the different means of isolation. By closing isolation wall, tightly shut and keep drain vent wall open. By closing the double block walls and keeping the between the bridge system open. By closing insulation valves tight shut and inserting blind of some classification. By physical disconnection of pipes. By closing the MOV motor operated valve. And point to be noted, isolations method item A and B by closing isolation valve tight or by closing the double block valves are not reliable and should not be adopted for jobs involving hot work, entry into confined space, and for the services of hazardous chemicals. Use of non-sparking tools required to be ensured for the job on equipment piping used for hydrocarbon service till it is totally decontaminated. Persons are expected to use cotton hand gloves during any work activity for protection of hands from minor injuries. Safety belt with lifeline is a fall-arrest device. Only full body safety harness with double lifelines to be used. It is to be specified in case persons are required to work for a height of 1.8 meter or above an unprotected surface structure or fragile roofs. Jobs involving chemical vapor dust must be done by wearing on line air mask. Cartridge gas mask is not suitable for use in work environment deficient in oxygen or containing inert. Gas test for oxygen content, hydrocarbon content, and toxic content, if vessel tank used for chemicals toxic in nature, are to be carried out by the permit issuer for carrying jobs. The name and type of person carrying test shall be mentioned in the respective permit. It is, it is proposed to carry out gas test for hydrocarbon content within 5-meter radius of the work location. For welding jobs including drain channels and close to flange joints, wall glands of adjacent equipment. Permissible values of gas test result. If any gas test indicate presence of flammable, toxic or vapor or oxygen deficiency, oxygen content minimum 19.5%, hydrocarbon content percent low L exposure limit, that is LEL 0, toxic content below TLV, that is threshold limit value. Reporting of gas test result. The gas test should be done prior to issuance of work permit to the acceptor and be repeated just prior to starting of hot work. The result should be reported by plant personnel authorized by plant HOD area in charge. As per work condition and the type of work being carried out, it is necessary to do the gas test at regular intervals. The issuer decides the frequency of testing and the type of gases to be tested. Approvals. In operating plant areas, the shift in charge shall issue the permit for the area under his jurisdiction. For the jobs on pipelines, the product utility supplier shall initiate the permit if the work is to be carried out up to the battery limit of receiving plant. Battery limit means the boundary limit of the plant. Inside the battery limit, that is the boundary limit, the receiving plant shall issue permit after confirming due safety precautions at supplier ends. The issuer is an employee of the company. No person can issue work permit to himself. That point to be noted. Executor. HODs from the maintenance, inspection, construction, or any other engineering service departments can authorize personnel working under them to receive the permit. A list of employees who are authorized to receive permits shall be maintained in all areas. The executor is an employee of the company. Prior to issue of work permit, the issuer and executor shall jointly inspect the job location and identify the requirement of job preparation and special PP required for safe execution of the job. The responsibility for safe execution of the job lies with the acceptor of the permit. He ensures that the precautions PP stipulated in the permit are complied with and safe procedures are followed. A toolbox talk has to be conducted by the acceptor to the contract workers prior to start of the job. The safety talk should emphasize the proper procedure for carrying out the job, identify any hazards involved and the precautions to be taken. Plant area in charge. For hot work and confined space permit, excavation permit, authorization of plant area in charge is required. Employees working above the level of shift in charge in the plant, non-plant areas and authorized by the plant HOD will sign as plant area in charge. HOD himself can sign as plant area in charge for authorizing these permits. Revalidation and renewals. Validity of work permit. Permit shall be issued by initiator issued for period till end of the shift only. In case if the job is not taken up or not completed within the shift of issue of permit, the permit must be renewed by endorsement of incoming shift in charge by incorporating and ensuring necessary changes safety requirements. The executor shall sign and forward it to the issuing authority for extension of work permit. All signing authority must sign the permit for extension of the permit. Validity of work permit for cold work, hot work, vessel entry permit and excavation shall be for 7 days. Upon completion of 7 days, new permit is to be issued. Gas test before revalidation and renewal of work permit. Necessary gas test should be carried out at the time of revalidation, renewal of closure and cancellation. Closure of work permit. The permit can be extended for a total of 7 calendar days maximum. For work extending beyond 7 days, a new work permit has to be issued after closing the present work permit. Also, if there is a break in the work for more than 1 calendar day, a new permit has to be issued. All signing authorities for approval must sign the permit for closure of the work permit. Cancellation of work permit. Permit shall be cancelled under following conditions. declaration of plant site emergency situation, any incident area, audits. Auditors authorized by plant HOD or HOD safety will audit the work permits. A detailed audit checklist will be developed for the use by the HOD safety. HOD safety shall arrange to train and validate all employees involved in the signing of work permit procedure. The list of such people authorized to sign in the work permit should, however, be prepared by the individual plant HODs and area in charge. The final authorization shall be done by the respective plant HODs area in charge as per format attached. HOD safety shall also arrange to provide trainings and validating people identified as auditors of these procedures. He shall provide necessary training materials and develop procedures for validation and authorization of various signatories to the work permit. He is also responsible for periodic review and updating of work permit procedures. Where differences arise in the interpretation of work permit procedure, the same shall be resolved by the HOD safety. The original acceptor copy of all closed permits shall be kept by the issuer for a period of at least 30 days from the closure of permits. At the end, you will find the annexures of all the work permit. These are the formats or templates which you can directly adopt. And after each annexure, you will also find the work instructions and do and don'ts for the particular work permit. As an example, you see this is the cold work permit. Do's and don'ts for cold work permit. Like A.7.1 do's and then don'ts. That is A7.2. This information is quite helpful while conducting the toolbox talk, and also you can include this information at the back end of the work permit. For another work permit, that is hot work permit, this is the template. You will find do's and don'ts for hot work permit. For confined work permit, work